Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be learning how the EMP really works in Trailmakers. We've tested the shields a lot, but the EMP, after doing this EMP race over the weekend, it got me curious, how does this thing actually work, and is there a way to counter the EMP without having to use an energy shield, which is specifically designed to counter an EMP. So in case you have no idea what an EMP does, basically its designated use is not to cause damage, but to scramble your controls. So if you get hit with an EMP, objects on your vehicle or creation that have controllable inputs can get randomly triggered to do things you don't want them to do. So the first question I'm about to answer with the EMP, just because it's going to be a really simple one. What is the minimum range for the EMP to actually be able to hit yourself if you have an EMP inside of your creation? Because if I put this right here, I'm assuming I'm not going to hit myself. Let's find out. Yeah, see, it shoots through. So how many blocks can I get away with before I actually EMP my own creation? All right, I think I may have found it. It depends on what do you consider the distance here? Are we talking from the very, very front here? In that case, here, let me add a buffer block. All right, so we're gonna start from here. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 blocks. And on the 15th block, you can see that we have a hit. Now, if I move this in by a single block, you can see that we do not have a hit. And let me just reconfirm, move that back one more block. And there we go. We have a hit. So you want to make sure that you do not EMP your own creation. You need to make sure that your creation is contained within 14 blocks of the end of your EMP cannon. So now that I know how far something has to be to get hit, now I know where I need to set things up to actually test these EMPs and shoot things. So I'm gonna give myself just a little bit more buffered. But now let me just do a super basic test here. I'm gonna set this weapon to not have an input. Okay, this is something I've always assumed, but I've never actually confirmed, is that if the weapon doesn't actually have an input, or if the functional block has no input programmed, can it be EMP'd? Let's see what happens here. Well, that completely debunked that. I really thought it was triggering weapon, like keyboard bindings that you have programmed and not the actual thing itself. So I thought a way around it was if you have something that you don't want the EMP to trigger, if you just disable this part of it, then maybe it won't work. But wow, that's kind of crazy. And wait, why did that not do anything just then? There we go. That was weird. The EMP hit, but it did not electrocute the thing. In my experience, the EMP seems to be location dependent. So if your creation gets hit with an EMP in the back, the front area of your functional parts may not be affected whatsoever. So I'm gonna take another blaster and I'm gonna put it right here. And looking at the EMP visuals, the visuals do not extend over here. So I'm gonna assume that this is safe and it does not fire at all. So let's just confirm that real quick. All right, nothing happened. There's no electricity happening, so I think the EMP, for whatever reason, didn't take. All right, here we go again. Okay. Now this is really strange. What is going on? Why is the EMP hitting? The EMP just EMP'd itself. I did not fire that second shot. The EMP fired that second shot on its own because it was EMP'd by its own EMP. I knew it. I knew it. Now everything is affected. I think I'm starting to understand. I'm pretty sure the EMP is chance based. If the EMP hits, it is no guarantee that it is going to cause any type of weapon malfunction. I think the length of the EMP effect is also variable. I'm gonna have to have a separate creation to fire at here. The fact that it's on the same creation might be a little bit confusing. All right, so I'm building my control cube here. So this control cube, I will also set a blaster on. All right, so now I should be able to fire at that. And you can see nothing happened that time. Nothing happened again? Does there have to be a seat for the EMP to actually affect it? Perhaps it's actually not hitting the blaster at all. Let's put the blaster here. Whoa. This is interesting. All right, now let's put a seat on this thing. All right, now does the blaster fire? What? There it goes. There it goes. Okay. Why was it working so much before and now it's not? There it goes again. This is a lot harder to test than I thought it was because the results are extremely inconsistent, and that might just be the nature of the EMP. That whatever I built is very EMP resistant. Like, look at how many shots it's taking with zero effect. And maybe that's just because there's only one thing on it. It's definitely worse than 50-50. It just took like 6 or 7 shots before it happened again. And that one was super quick. Maybe, am I too close? I need to put this thing on a vehicle. Let's just spawn in a car. All right, EMP on a car. All right, that doesn't seem to really do anything. What if I fire from over here? Okay, that time I missed the actual block itself, but the blast damage of the EMP made it do a thing. That time it did nothing. Maybe I just built this cube. Maybe I built it weird. Here's another option. Let's have that car there. And let's just spawn in a copy of it. And let's use the car as a target. Oh, look, there it goes. It's going... It's doing things on its own. So you can see the EMP didn't fire on the vehicle and the steering didn't seem to do anything. But if you looked at where the location of the visual effects are, they were all in the back towards the engine. The front of the vehicle isn't having that at all. So only the engine seemed to be affected there. Now if I fire from the front here, now you can see the steering is engaged and you can actually see the location. Look at that one wheel. Okay, so this is what I thought I was suspecting earlier, and I think I'm seeing more confirmation of it. When you shoot an EMP and you see a visual after effect, the location of that visual after effect shows you what part of the vehicle is currently being affected. If there is none of that, then nothing's actually happening. But if there is that, then it's only those parts. To put another way, if you see you've been shot by an EMP, but you do not see any sparks by your steering will not be affected by the EMP. But if you do see sparks by your steering, then the steering is affected. So the question is, why doesn't this get affected as often? Like, look at that, nothing. I've created an EMP resistant creation here. I'm gonna remove the control from that, see if that makes a difference. Why does this cube not get impacted by the EMP? Okay, so now I'm gonna add more stuff to this. I'm just gonna start with more blasters. I wonder if different types of weapons... I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. This does not make sense. All right, so ready? Nothing. More parts. I thought more parts would increase the chances that something happened. Okay, so now a whole bunch of them are affected. All right, I don't understand it. This seems to be particularly resistant because this one, every single time I shoot it, something happens. Oh, now it's turning. Ah, it backed up into me. Does the seat? No, the seat doesn't need to be affected. Whoa, hold on. That's twice in a row. I'm gonna shoot the seat side only. All right, and then of course, now after twice in a row, it doesn't really care. I thought maybe if the seat gets affected. Well, there it goes again. We're having more positive results when I'm shooting the seat side. This is interesting. All right, so I've just had I had like one fail out of like a handful of tries there. Now I'm gonna go onto this side. You ready for this? Okay. All right, that was only one success though. All right, there's a fail. And there's a success. All right, now it's just working more. It's just working more on this. Why is it just working more on this now? Look at that. The EMP is a chaos machine of secrets. Man, that is a pretty good blast radius too. Oh, do you see the reticle? How it goes through? Hold on a second. Let me put on something else here. Okay, they have the same reticle distance. Question was if that reticle goes through the target like that, where it grays out, and now, am I now in the blast radius zone? Here, let's find out. All right, I seem unaffected by that, but then again, could have just been one of those things where it doesn't work. All right, I seem safe here when the reticle's grayed out. Whoops, forgot about that one. Oh no, I am not safe. Okay, now I'm going to back up a little bit so that I am not poking through the reticle. And I still got affected. Okay, the reticle going through the little target thing is not an indicator of being safe from your own EMP or not. All right, I'm gonna try something a little bit different here. I have a bunch of smoke emitters. So I just want to see if these get affected. I don't know. I don't know if different objects should get... All right, look at that. There we go. 50% of them got affected. Look at that. Okay, now 1. This is an interesting... This is actually really cool. Now 0 got affected that time. What? Okay, I think this is why it wasn't working with like the one blaster on there. Because look at how many are on here, and look at how few actually get triggered by this EMP blast. Now we're having something happen every single time because there's just a lot of things that have that chance. So if there's a 30% chance of your EMP actually triggering an individual object, and then you have 18 individual objects, that's gonna increase the chances of something happening dramatically versus just a single object. I think that is why we were seeing just the one blaster was not getting triggered so often, was because it's just not that high of a chance. I don't know what the chance is, but it seems to be a pretty low percentage. Like, it is definitely less than 50% per individual object, I think. Like, that was the most we've gotten out of one. All right, so I'm going to just add a whole bunch more to this side over here and this side. And now let's see what happens. Whoa, okay. Interesting. So now what I can kind of compare is, does each side experience a similar number, like a similar ratio as each other? So it looks like every single time there's like 2 to 4. It is there's a huge variance. But at least now we're getting consistent impacts. And I'm sure if I go down to just 1, we're gonna see where almost most of the time it doesn't actually do anything. All right, so now there's the only thing that can get impacted, and look at that, nothing happens. So that is why. All right, this answers a huge question which I was going that I wanted to test, which was, is there a way to EMP proof yourself? I was thinking that maybe you could protect the object you don't want to be affected by surrounding it with a bunch of other useless objects, and it would decrease the likelihood of that single object being affected. That is not how the EMP works at all. Every single object that gets hit by the EMP has its own individual chance of being affected. And the more objects you have, the more chance of just something getting affected. But I don't think it actually changes the individual things. Because, like, I've just fired, like, 5 shots and not a single one. There we go. So there might be, like, a 20% chance. Yeah, it took 3 shots that time. The 3rd shot is what affected it. So that's a 33% out of that last batch. And that time it took 6 shots. So, like, 3 to 6 shots to have a single object impacted. So now if I double it up, we should see 1.5 to 3 shots every single time. So there's first shot happened. All right, nothing happened that time. It shouldn't take more than 3 shots, I don't think. There we go. There's another one. Yeah, we're already just we're getting double the impact. Yeah, so this is very illuminating. So, I mean, most vehicles have a lot of different control things, but I just want to confirm that it is localized and not across the entire creation. So I want to do what I did before. I'm going to just guarantee that something gets triggered by just spamming a whole bunch of these. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make this very long so that I can guarantee if I hit one side of this, the EMP is not, the blast radius is not going over to the other side. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is that only the side that gets hit gets affected and the other side will not get affected, which means if you are using an EMP versus a large craft, you actually have to hit the side of the craft that you want to influence. So here we go. Okay, that is unexpected. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go bloop and bloop. Now there's no way the EMP will be able to reach that side. All right, so if I shoot this side right here, no way it hits the other side. Oh, okay. Well, we have the issue of center of mass, but did you see what happened? Nothing happened. There we go. Look at that. Nothing over on that side. There's no controls in the middle. And look at that. The blast radius doesn't affect either side. Oh, that time the blast got it on that side, but not the other. Yep, so it is localized. Depending on where the EMP hits, as long as something is within its blast radius, only that will get affected. Things outside of its blast radius will not get affected. So that does mean you could potentially shield yourself, like without an EMP shield. You could put like extendable things to absorb the EMP and protect your inside controls. But how big? How big of a distance do you need? So let's actually start with 14. All right, so this is a 14 block difference or distance. And I think it's not gonna be enough. Yep, both sides. Wait, why is there no smoke happening? Wait, is the lack of a seat actually a thing? I deleted the seat. Oh, I thought it was just because we had that. Oh, whoa. The lack of a seat is a thing? You need a seat. All right, now let me make sure I hit this side only. All right, the other side gets affected. So 14 block, that's a lot of distance. All right, let's add a single layer. And it still affects both sides. All right, bumping it up to 18 blocks. Oh, we might have something. I'll do a couple of tests though, just to make sure. It's still not affecting it. Oh, I think 18 blocks is the distance. I'm gonna use this as my tester here. Now, let's say I don't want my engines to be affected. I have a lot of engines here. So if I go 18 blocks, and then here, we don't need energy shields. I'm just gonna use a regular old shields. Yeah, so now if the EMP hits here, it should not impact the vehicle at all. Well, that didn't work very well, did it? Ah, so now this is 20 blocks. Oh, you know what? It was more than 20 blocks. Because the smoke things are like 4 blocks long. That's why. So I had to add 4 blocks. So I think it is actually 22 blocks. Because it was hitting the edge of these smoke dispensers. And then after the smoke dispensers, we had 18 blocks. So I think 22. So I need to actually add another layer here. That's why it wasn't working. All right, ready? Why is it? It seems to be going through the shield. Does the shield not... Ah, does the shield not do the thing? All right, you know what? Never mind about the shields. You don't need shields. We're gonna just build something bigger. Yeah, try to get through this. All right, now there's no way. There's no way it's gonna impact it. Why are these tests so weird? 24 blocks now. What is happening? This has to work at some point, right? We're now at 26 blocks. Aha. No, not aha. It's still affecting things. Does this concept not work at all? All right, now we are at 28 blocks. And it still doesn't work. All right, we got to go to 30. 30 blocks. Nope. All right, we did not find, nope, we did not. 32 is a nice computer number. Promising. I'm gonna have to do at least 6 shots to test it though. And there we go, second shot. Was not successful. All right, the longer I do this test, the more impractical this entire concept becomes. 34. No, we're going up to 36. Okay, there we go, 36. I'm feeling better about this. If I can get 6 shots in a row with no impact, I'm gonna say we've got a successful EMP resistant shield. I'll do 7 for good measure, just in case I miscounted. There's 6 or 5. And 1 more. There we go. So that is 36 blocks away, right? Yeah, technically 37 if you include the actual surface itself. So yeah, if you wanna get away with shielding yourself against EMPs in a battle where you cannot use energy shields, you just have to have 36 blocks of buffer between your controllable pieces and the EMP impact zone. So very practical and easy to accomplish. How then was the smoke dispenser thing was only 18 blocks? This is double that. Did I miscount the... I did. No, this is right. Oh, I can't believe... Did this really happen the whole time? Did I count 18 of these? All right, so I have one more test I want to do. I've learned a lot so far. 36 blocks for the distance of buffer for the EMP blast radius. It is not creation based. It is completely localized to impact zone based, and it is extremely probabilistic. So I'm gonna bring back the cube for another test. I'm gonna put a single smoke thing on there, and I do think for whatever reason I do need a seat attached to it just to make sure. So now it should take take, on average, like 3 to 6 shots to trigger that smoke dispenser. So I'll do 3 to 6 shots here. Oh, there we go. It only took 2 that time. If that's the case, I'm curious if I have more EMPs, does that mean that I increase the chance of that single one being triggered? I would assume so, but I'm gonna put 3 EMPs here. And there we go, first try. Now let's see if we can keep that pretty consistent. All right, nothing that time. It should happen this next time. Okay, nothing that, okay, you know what? I'm gonna need 6. All right, there we go, I got 6 now. So this should be like nearly guarantee. All right, there we go. Okay, no, let's see if it happens more often than we would expect though. Okay, this is defying my expectations. There we go. I would expect that like with 6 EMPs hitting all at the same time, that it would increase the odds of a trigger. But it actually doesn't seem to be doing that. This feels pretty much like what you would expect with a single EMP. Okay, I have to take it to an extreme then. We have to like super guarantee the probability here. All right, so this is more EMPs than is reasonable. What? Did I add something that's not an EMP on here? Do EMPs have force? That's not supposed to happen. EMPs have force? What do I do about that? Okay, I'm gonna have to put an anchor block on this thing, apparently. All right, let's see what happens now. This thing is anchored to the ground. You can cause damage with EMPs? Why is it only the functional block that is... Hold on. All right. Well, it triggered. First try. It didn't trigger that time. That tells me that it didn't trigger again. With all these EMPs, if each EMP had the same probability of triggering it, this should be like a guarantee that it triggers every single time. But it seems like they're all being taken as a single EMP shot. It really seems like they're all being taken as an EMP shot. I think you would have to stagger your EMPs to increase your odds. All right, now like every half a second, we're gonna have an EMP. All right, well, it's firing. All right, it's firing. Let's wait for it to stop. All right, we go again. Look at it. Look at what's happening. It's not... Oh, now it fires? I think these have to be getting bunched in. None of the... Like, it took so long. I don't think I have completely solved how the probability of the EMP triggering works yet. I have more information now than I went in with, but I also have more questions than I expected to have at the end of this. So look at the... I cannot believe that EMPs have an impact force that can actually cause damage too. That is insane. What kind of impact does this have on my car? Okay, it's not that much. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's fried. But dang, didn't realize EMPs had that much force. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas on how these EMPs could be further tested, and if there's any way you think we could find some consistency on how they work. I mean, there is some consistency, but like, I don't understand what the probability is of an EMP triggering the thing, and like, how it reads multiple EMP shots. It seems like you get like one chance and either it triggers it or it doesn't. And obviously, the more things you have to get triggered, then the more likely something is going to get impacted. Having more things doesn't take away from the probability of other stuff getting impacted. That was epic. Seeing it go boom, 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 boom. That was pretty cool. I'm going to be looking at the comments to see if you guys have any suggestions on what to do with future tests and what other tests might you like to see as well. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more that you can find right here on the end screen. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.